Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy AC Legend. I'm back here with another video. Today's video, I'm gonna tell you guys why I haven't sold my first fix and flip deal. Let's get into it. As you guys seen on my previous YouTube videos, I did my first fix and flip. I got it all completed. I listed it. Now, as soon as we listed it, the very first day, we had people trying to come in and see the property, which was a really good thing for us because it showed that our work was wanted, it was acceptable, and it was probably going to sell quick. I was watching the Zillow because it shows you how many saves and how many times the property's been viewed, and it got listed as a hot sale, meaning Zillow, the platform that we listed on, and we listed on the other platforms as well, but they were seeing, engaging based off of the attraction it was getting in the reach. They determined that the house was going to sell pretty quickly. We ended up getting a few showings throughout the week. And then that following, I believe Saturday, we ended up doing a open house. The open house didn't go that great as far as people showing up, but there were still people calling my realtor interested in the property. By the end of the first week, we ended up getting 2 or 3 offers. The offer that we took, they wanted the full asking. They were going to cover all of the closing costs, and it was a private lender who gave them the money. 1, we got full asking price, which was beautiful. 2, it was private money, which means the bank and the appraisal system is a little bit more lenient than someone who has, the FHA loan, where they're a little bit more strict on how they're appraising what they need. So that was appealing to us. And then the second thing, they were going to pay all the closing costs. For this house that we're selling, the closing cost is around $10,000. That's realtor fees as well as closing fees, any other associated costs that goes into closing. So they were going to come and pay that off, and I wasn't going to have to do that at all, which is obviously a benefit because as much money as you keep in your pocket, the better. Now, the way that the market is now, I guess it's pretty standard, you would call it, that the seller helps out in some way, whether they pay all closing costs or they pay half closing costs or something. But right now the buyers are asking for closing costs. When a buyer said that they would pay all the closing costs, that was like, okay, this is our buyer. After someone puts in a bid for your property, then you have to accept it. We went ahead, we accepted it, and that gives them a period to actually close on the property. Now, a normal closing takes about a month, which throw that out there. It takes about a month for you actually to sell it. It'll go under contract. Then there's a process between there, which I'm gonna talk a little bit about now. The first thing is they have to get the property appraised to make sure their lender or their bank sees that this house is valuable enough that matches the price point, because they don't want to be upside down on a loan. If you're not familiar with being upside down on a loan, that means the loan is more than the house is worth. Say I'm selling for $155,000, but they get the home appraised and they say, well, the home's only worth $130,000. That can mess up a deal because the bank is only going to fund or finance what they believe the house is worth. So we got the appraisal back. Appraisal was fine. Since they did the appraisal, we didn't get to see it as the seller. That's something that I didn't know that I'm going to keep in mind for next time. I'm going to go ahead and get my own appraisal. I'm just going to add that to my rehab budget just so I can know kind of where we're at with the lenders in the bank. Each appraisal in each bank is different. One bank come out and say this house is worth $100,000. Another bank come out and say this house is worth $110,000. It depends on the individual who's actually appraising your home, but at least I'll have a good gauge of where appraisers are appraising at, and I get to see it. Because think about it like this: if the seller gets the appraisal and it comes back, I'm selling the home for $100,000, the appraisal come back, this house is worth $150,000. They're not gonna tell me, yo, you're underselling your house by $50,000. No, they're not gonna do that. What they did was, they didn't tell me what it was. After that, I'm like, okay, I gotta go get my own appraisal. Fine. Appraisal happened, and they had a 7 or 10 day period to get a home inspection. So when you're selling the home, what happens is it goes in a contract, and there's a time period that you allot your buyer to get the inspections done, which usually their bank will come out and do. Because like I said, the bank is really the main piece because they're doing the financing. Unless it's a cash deal, then that's strictly on the buyer. An inspector will come out, check everything from your siding, exterior paint, the gutter system, the roof, the porch, how sturdy it is, the leveling on the ground, the grading going to your home. They go in there and they do a thorough inspection of your electric, your water, your heat, all that. They're gonna check all that out, your outlets. They're gonna check your kitchen, your cabinets, the doors, make sure everything is working. And what they do is the things that's not working, if it's a major problem, they'll go ahead and list it as a major issue. So if it's a foundation problem or a plumbing problem, and they say, hey, this is a major concern, you want to get this looked at. What happens is after the inspection, they put together a full report of that home that send it out to your buyer. The buyer will then go over it probably with their realtor, and the realtor will be like, hey, okay, this is what's wrong with the home. We can ask for everything on this list to get fixed before we purchase, or we can say, hey, this is a minor problem, don't worry about it. This is a minor problem, don't worry about it. But this is a big issue. We need to be worried about this issue. It could be the foundation. Then, as the seller, you're either gonna say, hey, yeah, I can take care of that, or you can say, no, I'm not taking care of that, and potentially lose the deal. Because whatever comes back on that inspection report is enough to get them out of the contract. They call the list of items that they want done concessions. So what happened with my buyer, they came out, they got the property inspected. It's an older home. We already know there's issues with the home. The main concerns was the electrical box had some erosion on it, I guess, a little rust. It signified that it was wet at one point. And then there's a small bulging wall in the basement. They were asking for the electrical panel to get replaced. If anybody knows, that's probably a $3,000 job right there, $2,000, $3,000 job. I didn't want to put all that money into it. What I did, I hired an electrician, licensed electrician. They came out, inspected it, said, yo, there's erosion here, or corrosion there, but it's all good. They signed off on it. I think I paid him maybe $150 to come out and just give me a write-off saying that it was good. I gave that to my realtor, who then relayed the message, and that was sufficient enough for us not to have to fix the electrical box. Now, another issue was we had one wall in our foundation. It's not bad at all, by no means. If I was keeping this home, I probably wouldn't do nothing about the wall. If I was buying this home, I probably wouldn't do nothing about the wall. But it is slightly bowing. The seller said that that was an issue, and I told him I wasn't gonna do nothing with the wall. And then another thing that seller did, they came in, there's no AC unit. They actually came in after concessions and asked if we would put in the AC unit, which is about $4,000. They actually asked for half of it, so another $2,000 on that. And then they wanted a structural engineer to come in to check out the walls in the basement, which I didn't agree on. What happened was, we got to negotiations. We were supposed to close probably 2 or 3 days. So this period was already a few weeks that had passed by, from the appraisal to the inspection period to now we're negotiating concessions. And last minute, the seller ended up pulling out because of just something that we couldn't get agreed on. I really wasted a full month where I have to pay the mortgage on that home. I have to pay the bills as far as the electric, the water, the gas. I had to pay the bills, and I lost that time. Fell out of contract. Now, what happens when you fall out of contract is usually now when it goes back to market, people are asking, well, why did it fall out of contract? There must be something wrong with that house. That's like the psychology of where people's minds go when they see, oh, it's supposed to get sold and then now it's bad. Well, what's going on? What's wrong with this house? What I did was I actually raised the price, because I knew that if people were thinking, hey, there's something wrong with this property, I'm gonna go shoot them a lowball offer. We fell out of contract and I went up on the price. So I used a little reverse psychology on that. So when we originally did that, the first week I think we had one showing. It just wasn't performing like it was, but we raised the price an additional $10,000. The listing wasn't performing for a full week. And then the following week after that, we finally got some traction. A few people came out to see the home. And then there was between 2 people was gonna put in an offer. We ended up getting an offer for a full asking price, so $10,000 more than what we originally was under contract for. This family wanted us to pay $5,000 in closing costs, which I agreed to do so. But I also told them that we won't do anything major on concessions, and anything that's small, like replacing a doorknob, replacing a door, anything like that, we're definitely not going to put any money into it. So the buyer already knows that I'm not trying to spend any more money on this home. And I did agree to pay that additional $5,000 to help them with closing costs. Now they are getting an appraisal done on Thursday, as well as an inspection. And they are set to close next month. So July 26th, I believe, is their closing date. We'll see how this process goes. This is the FHA buyer, so they're a little bit more strict. And once I learn more about that process, I go ahead and relay the message to you. But when you are selling a home, I just want you guys to kind of understand this process. It's just not like a, hey, yes, I want to buy your home and that's it. They wire you the money and that's over. No, they're going to do inspections. They got to get the appraisal. And then you got to get all the paperwork in. They have to get all their paperwork into title, which I didn't even cover on this, but that's minor work. And then, like I said, it usually takes about 30 days for someone to actually close on a property, unless it's a cash deal and they can get it done quick. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just want to keep you guys informed about what's going on with my very first real estate fix and flip. We are under contract right now, hopefully to be sold. By the next time I'm talking about any more real estate, specifically with this deal, hopefully it's already done. Money's in my account and all. It's your boy AC Legend. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.